Greetings, this is Warrior King, and the time has come for the lions and the lioness to tell their own story. This is the lion's voice. Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the powers to chant. Jah give her the powers to chant. Rastafari, the lion's voice.
What do you have to tell the people about Ras Tafari?
Light to the world. The king of kings and the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. And left himself, first rightful ruler. Hey yo! Yeah. Hail them high, hail the black king on the 23rd of July. So tell them guy who praise God up in the sky, it's a lie. The Almighty living on your night. From ancient time them a try. Them Romans know them just open them suit and ties. Criminals ain't got no alibi, they stole my people. Then them come without them genocide.
Are you talking about slavery?
Them couldn't kill the lion way come conquer Judah tribe.
Who?
Go through tribulation, and I strive, see sufferation, and I still rise. That's why we tell them in America, live Rastafari in every ghetto area. We come if you tell them in Toronto, straight to Ethiopia.
I would say that the highest stage would be Negos, because no one can become Nugus and Agas, one king of kings, one emperor. You know what I mean? I'm on hold that status. There's one emperor, one empress. Now, there was a letter going around, condemning ones for calling themselves empress. I don't go so far in terms of that. I call, if a sister want to call herself empress, the Bobo Shanti use empress. I don't have a problem because that's their tradition. That's not something that I would do or advocate. But again, in my father's house, there are many mansions. We can't let those things divide us, family. Those fall in the category of petty differences, because the things that we have in front of us, food and water security, we have a whole heap of different issues to deal with as a family before we get down to these things. So we don't let that bother us. And again, it comes into the titles. We didn't have a formalized, agreed upon framework in terms of how we structure the chart. So I'm just suggesting putting out some sounds to the family on this topic about the Rastafari man in particular, because that's I interest, because to preserve and to have strong families, we're going to need strong black man leadership over these families. So for the ones who say they're Rastafari, we want to set a standard that ones are meeting, so that we don't have a lot of ones wasting time. I see too many brethren who are gifted but don't have discipline. And part of the discipline is just that lack of focus to know, if they knew, okay, I have to check this, I need to, what am I doing in terms of administration, sitting on a board, community, charitable, check these different boxes so that they can be productive members of their community. This is crucial. So His Majesty, during the Dejazmatch phase, was also appointed as governor of several provinces. The province of Selassie, province of Basso, the governor of Sidamo, where he first started sitting in judgment. At that time, he had 3,000 men under his command. He refused a plot to enter into a plot against Empress Taitu. While he was there, he reconstructed a church. So he was doing repairs on the religious infrastructure as a Dejazmatch. So again, he's building up the faith. What are you doing as a Dejazmatch to help to build your faith? What works can you point to? These are things that questions as Rastafari man we have to ask ourselves. In addition to the other works that he's doing, one of the key was establishing quarters for the soldiers. So this 3,000 plus army he inherited from his father, they have to live somewhere. And he said that at that time the officers and the soldiers only came together when military operations were happening. So there was a very shaky chain of command. The officer don't know what the soldiers, who are the soldiers. Soldiers don't know the officer. So they have to build that rapport during battlefield, and that's not efficient. So he made sure that the soldiers and the officers live together. Um, One of the things that happened when he was appointed as, and this was, to the latter part of his time as the Dejazmatch, when he was appointed as over Harar, which was one of the major income generating provinces of Ethiopia. So big deal. Um, Organizing the soldiers. He said he had to read the French treaty, understand the French treaty in terms of how Ethiopia is dealing with foreigners, because Harar is a city that have a lot of foreigners. So as a Dejazmatch, are you, studying, educating yourself? How do you deal with, the people outside of the Rastafari family? You should be establishing these relationships by the time you reach the Dejazmatch, so you have a vibrant network. IMAN network is not just Rastafari people. We have a vibrant network that extends far beyond the Rastafari community. So when you say you're the Dejazmatch, this should be part of what you're doing. His Majesty again dealing with the French treaty, having to manage Ethiopia's affairs with foreigners, and he said it was strenuous and onerous. France will get kicked out of Africa, You see, from a long time they've been there. From that time. One of the things that he said he did when he came to Harare is he searched the records. So he never just jump in and try do things. And a lot of times when we're doing works in the community, we just jump in and we don't take the time to research what was done before, what was effective, what was not effective. His Majesty said as the Chasmas, that was one of the first things he did, returning to Harar. And there was not a lot available because, the Chasmatch Belcher, who was there before him, never really take whole heap of notes, probably just ruling by decree because he's the ancient of days. He said all of the notes were from his father or his father's son, which was his half brother, the Chasmatch Yilma. Those were the only notes he could find. And of course, the Chasmatch Yilma coming off a Ras cunning branch, who was meticulous with notes and these things. So he had to educate himself before he jumped into the community work. And that's very important. And that can be through the form of sitting with the elders and just listening. A lot of the youths, them don't want to listen to the elders, but there's so much value that comes with sitting with the elders, listening to the elders, and getting the elders' wisdom. So it's crucial. Next, he talks about mapping that he did as a Dejazmatch. The item C, I'm on building my ecosystem. This is one of the reasons that I'm not quick to take on the title Ras, because a Ras is a man that govern, should be an established businessman with, very financially secure, managing whole heap of people, have a whole network or province of people that can be mobilized within the network. I don't feel I reached that, so the potential is there. But this is the work as a Dejazmatch that has to be done. Because again, this is the work Haile Selassie I show us in a real life. Our thing is not based on a fantasy. It's based on where we research, what we see. So this is so crucial. You know what I mean? He sent his officers on a mapping to find out who could pay taxes. Why? Because if I'm administering a province, I need to know what my revenue, so that I can implement all of these reforms that I want to implement. It costs money to maintain the soldiers, to do all of these things costs money. So I need to know what my revenue base is. Sent out, he said that they came forward after about 3 months and said about 70,000 people could pay taxes. So he reformed the system of how those taxes were collected, because some people were doing there was certain level of corruption because the tax collectors had so much power who, in a modern system would be seen as a comptroller thing. But he details it all in the autobiography, these meticulous reforms, and why it's important that it's there is because he's showing how he's lifting the yoke off of the people. elevating the people from peasant to citizen. We don't talk about that enough when we talk about free the captives. One of the great works of His Majesty, just as great as UN speech or forming the Organization of African Unity, but is making a better life for the common Ethiopian, who was under a heavy burden in some of the provinces. But Haile Selassie or the Dejazmatch Tafari at the time really did that. So these are the things as the Dejazmatch. You're mapping your network. Not everybody is going to be running that. That's not realistic. But everyone can be building a network because you'll need that to be a successful man. And again, we're talking about the Rastafari man standard. No man stands alone. So as the Dejazmatch spheres, these are the things. And there should be a council of all the brethren and elders that helping the youth them go through these processes as we cultivate our young brethren. So these are the things that we want to talk about. So he also talks about putting the landowners, the soldiers, and the officers into a registry. So he created a database in those times, Again, this is the boring things that people don't like to talk about, but it's so important to building any institution, any business. You need data, you need mapping, marketing, who are you serving? You need information, family. So this kind of vibration where we're just in the mystic and nobody don't know nothing and you just do things. We're not saying the mystic is not important, but the mystic works better with information because then it can really maximize the balance, spiritual and material. That is what we're reasoning. We're lacking balance as a family. So His Majesty was doing these things. So by the time September 27th comes around and he's given the title of Regent Plenipotentiary, heir to the throne, I don't want it to be a mystery why he was selected by the nobles and by Zaiditu and advisors, because his province is running the best in the nation. His everything is just excellent. You know what I mean? And this level of excellence is what we want for the Rastafari man. That's what I'm
Well, I am the generation of those that chose to see the face of the great I am. With the Emperor Haile Selassie, King Rastafari of Ethiopia, well, he's the almighty creator, in flesh and in bone, and he's seated upon King David's throne. Well, I and I came to tell the nation on the microphone.
Yo, let them know righteousness is here to conquer. The Bingy King trample down those evilest monsters. Mussolini, he's getting burnt up like ganja. Our nation needs to get stronger. Give thanks, our locks is getting longer. The angel revealed the scriptures, the number 6, verse 5. My antenna channeling the heights of the Most High. Crown King of King, Lord of Lords. Now you do the math, Rastafari comfort. I and I with the staff. Children of Israel, make sure you step on the right path. It's the 21st century, the wicked about to feel the wrath of the Ancient of Days. Emperor Haile Selassie, pure in all his ways. That's why I KWASI and I praise the Naya Bingy King. Let the children know the salvation Naya Bingy bring. Yo, it's conscious hip-hop music strictly for the king. For those who don't know, it's a Naya Bingy thing. Hailing the Aya.
Bingy King, Naya, Bingy King, Naya, Bingy King, with the scepter lightning. Aya, Bingy King, Aya, Bingy King, Aya, Bingy King, with the scepter lightning. Fire, Bingy King, fire, Bingy King, fire, Bingy King, earthquake lightning. Naya, Bingy King, Naya, Bingy King, Naya, Bingy King, with the scepter lightning.
Tell him about Selassie. Terrible and dreadful, with a head full of sheep wool. Babylon, you better keep cool, cause he rules. Earth is just his footstool. You think you somebody, but you're only just his tool. Whirlpools, whirlwinds, blow away their sins. Instead of following the shepherd, they were following trends. We set the judgment, they killed too many innocent. Now they got to feel the wrath of the omnipotent, omniscient king with the scepter lightning. From the birds to the creeping things, all hail him. Selassie, I guide I and I, provide for I and I, live inside inside I and I, so we can't die. Must live eternal I, up in Mount Zion I, side by the most high I, Bingy King, king of all kings. Can't forget Queen Omega with the scepter lightning.
Naya, Bingy King, Naya, Bingy King, Naya, Bingy King with the scepter lightning. Aya, Bingy King, Aya, Bingy King, Aya, Bingy King with the scepter lightning. Selassie bring the judgment on my enemies. Remember we be the Hebrew that you claim to be. The game that you play lame to we, cause we put me in shackles and chains, and that's plain to see. They ain't got no name for we. And the Selassie I strike like hurricane rains off the sea.